Ashish Kasad, Partner, Tax and Regulatory Services, Ernst & Young LLP. Ashish Kasad, a qualified chartered accountant, is a partner with Ernst & Young LLP and a strategic advisor on Indian tax and regulatory.
Ma'am, you can start. We are live.
Screen sharing, please. So very good afternoon and good morning to everyone. I'm delighted to be once again with all of you today at the IPGA National Conclave. I'm going to be today talking to you about e-commerce for the retail sector with a focus on pulses. Sorry, just give me a second. I think we're on the technology challenge. So I hope my screen is visible to everyone. Imagine a decade ago, no one would have thought how today we as consumers would buy various products like mobile phones, appliances, travel bookings, theater tickets, and so many products online at a click of a few buttons. In fact, when e-commerce was gaining momentum, there was a thought whether shopping for products like clothes can be undertaken online, as one has to see and touch the fabric to have a feel of the quality, along with trying the clothes for size, fit, and color of clothes before the same is purchased. Today, apparels are amongst the top 3 products sold online, apart from electronics and books. The online grocery business is also picking up in a big way. It is constantly challenging the perspectives on whether consumers would be inclined to purchase grocery online, which has also traditionally been bought through kiranas by physically checking the quality. Today, Big Basket, one of the popular online grocery portals in India, very well highlights on its website why one can buy online groceries. It says, and I will quote, "Did you ever imagine that the freshest of fruits and vegetables, top quality pulses and food grains, dairy products, and hundreds of branded items could be handpicked and delivered to your home, all at the click of a button?" India's first comprehensive online megastore, BigBasket.com, brings a whopping 20,000 plus products with more than 1,000 brands to over 4 million happy customers. From household cleaning products to beauty and makeup, Big Basket has everything you need for your daily needs and is a convenience personified. So why is it that the Indian consumers shop for groceries, including pulses, is gradually shifting towards e-commerce instead of visiting local shops or malls? If one has to contemplate the reasons, they can be broadly divided into India having a strong infrastructure for undertaking e-commerce transactions, 2, willing consumers to use this infrastructure, and 3, entry of e-commerce platform providers for groceries. The most critical reason of the increase in e-commerce transactions has been the increased penetration of internet in India, availability of low-cost internet access, and increase in number of smartphone users. Internet penetration rose from 8% in 2010 to almost 25% in 2016. It is likely to further double and reach to 55% or more by 2025 and reach 850 million users. By 2021, India will have more internet users than the entire population of 6 G7 countries. Also, with a median age of 31 by 2030 versus 42 in China or 40 in US, India will remain one of the youngest nations in the world. By 2030, India will have nearly 90 million new households headed by millennials. By 2030, access to the internet will extend to over 1.1 billion Indians, and 9 out of 10 Indians over the age of 15 years will be online. Today, as we see the increased use of internet, whether it's work from home, online schools, online classes, and education, etc., the future of the Indian consumers is indeed online shopping. Further, with the increase in India's per capita disposable income, the millennials are increasingly brand conscious, and they are willing to spend on a brand to get assurance on the quality. So today, if a consumer is happy with a certain brand of tur dal and the brand is available online, it is likely that the consumer will buy it online, as he or she is very likely to be assured of the quality of the brand, and the consumer does not feel a need to physically check the quality of pulses of the packaged branded product. E-commerce provides a lot of convenience with facilities like free home delivery, increase in digital payment options, discounts and offers, whether it is cashback or festival discounts, access to products from home, leading to precious time being saved on travel. With increase in nuclear families, women workforce, busy work schedules, there is an increase in online shopping. And by 2026, the number of online shoppers in India is projected to increase from the current 15% to 50% of the total online population. Now, given these facts, there's no doubt that India is and would be indeed a huge consumer base for e-commerce. These facts are also evidenced by the number of players providing online e-commerce market for groceries increased with inflow of large amount of capital from global investors. 100% FDI under government approval route is allowed for retail trading, including through e-commerce, in respect of food products manufactured and or produced in India. Today, we have Amazon India, Grofers India, Big Basket, Spencer's Retail, Nature's Basket, Reliance Retail, already selling pulses apart from the e-commerce platforms provided by the regional players. So today, if a consumer Googles to buy pulses, we see access to several e-commerce platforms like JioMart, Big Basket, Grofers, Flipkart, Amazon, Nature's Basket, etc., offering pulses online. And I'll just give you a glimpse of that as I did a Google search to show you how it comes out. So you can see the variety and choices that consumers have today just by saying buy pulses online. COVID-19 pandemic has had a major impact on the way Indian consumers undertake their shopping, especially their groceries. Digitization has accelerated in the last 11 months, and the pandemic has brought millions of consumers to accept digital as a way of life. While the lockdown has made kiranas more relevant than ever, in a survey conducted by EY India, amongst the salaried individuals spread across India, 40% of the participants had responded stating that they have now started shopping for groceries online during the pandemic. Hence, an omni-channel strategy is becoming more relevant than ever before to attract and retain customers. The Indian e-commerce industry has been on an upward growth trajectory, and as per report by the global payments firm WorldPay India, India is expected to surpass the US to become the second largest e-commerce market in the world by 2034. India's e-commerce sector will reach $99 billion by 2024 from $30 billion in 2019, expanding at a 27% compounded annual growth rate, with grocery and fashion apparel likely to be the key drivers of incremental growth as per a report issued by the IBF. So if we now look at what we spoke about in terms of an annual compounded average growth rate of 57%, India's online grocery business is expected to reach 18.2 billion by 2024. This will still be very low percentage of 2.3% of the overall grocery market in the country. Given these factors, there's no doubt that even transaction for online purchase of pulses will see an increase as the consumption patterns are evidencing preferences for certain brands. It's interesting to note, however, that the online pulses market is not yet flooded with several brands. For example, we have big basket products with BB Royal or Popular. You have Tata Sampann. You have Reliance with Good Life, Big Bazaar with Golden Harvest, Amazon with Vedaka. So before the online pulses markets witness several new brands, it's important for the retailers to explore the e-commerce model now so as to build and establish its brand with the consumers to build and repeat customers. Many of the key factors for giving a boost to e-commerce and pulses in India are already existing. For example, India is witnessing self-sufficiency in pulse production in recent years. There are various e-commerce platforms already present, high consumer base who is willing to buy pulses online. And then you have the startup community who can innovate and bring further support and efficiency in the e-commerce supply chain. The above, coupled with the radical liberalization in the FDI regime since 2016, opens the doors for FDI and e-commerce for food products. And the Government of India has now permitted 100% FDI under government approval route for trading, including through e-commerce in respect of food products manufactured or produced in India. So if we take a quick look at the FDI policy for e-commerce, you will see that the Government of India permits FDI in an e-commerce entity depending on the different business models adopted by this entity. Broadly, 100% FDI is permitted for e-commerce entities providing an online platform for facilitating buying and selling activities in a B2B format. However, FDI is not permitted in an e-commerce entity who owns inventory of goods and services and is sold to consumers directly, that is B2C format. In terms of FDI in retail trading, two business models are defined under the FDI policy. That is the single brand retail and the multi-brand retail trading. Now in multi-brand retail trading, it means entities that sell goods to end consumers of various brands. So e-commerce by multi-brand entities is not permitted. But single brand retail trading means entities that sell goods under a single brand only, which is sold under the same brand internationally. So along with the brick and mortar stores, you can also undertake retail trading through e-commerce. E-commerce can also be undertaken prior to opening your brick and mortar stores, subject to the condition that the entity opens the brick and mortar stores within 2 years from the date of start of online retail. However, it is to be noted that for retail trading, including through e-commerce in respect of food products manufactured or produced in India, 100% FDI is allowed under the government approval. So now that we have been looking at this whole element of e-commerce for pulses from a retailer standpoint, let's take a look at it from the consumer's lens. What we have done is we know that there are several reasons why consumers buy online. We have listed them in their order of preference. And you will see that typically it is more about convenience, discounts, variety of options, variety of payment modes, brands being available, which is more of their preference. Those are more of the attractors. And then you have differentiators like a goods return policy. So if you have that, that really differentiates from other e-commerce players, or timely delivery. So the faster delivery a consumer gets the product, they are more inclined to go back to that e-commerce player for their for buying products. But for pulses, the most important reason would perhaps be the trust on the brand for the overall quality. So consumers would not be so price sensitive while buying pulses as compared to other goods which are bought online. Given that pulses are used for daily usage and the Indian consumers now look for quality food intake, the creating of a brand would be directly related to the quality of the products you're offering, as this in turn would buy the loyalty for your brand and therefore increase in the consumer base. As a retailer, one could establish its brand through online and offline sales together. As consumers like your brand through offline sales, they are more comfortable and likely to buy the same goods online, as happened during COVID. What's interesting to note that in India, you already have several players who have launched their branded products, both in the modern trade business as well as in the e-commerce players. Let me share a slide which gives you an insight into the number of brands that are already in the country for pulses. Now, these are regional brands, but equally you have the modern trade format brands as well as the e-commerce brands. So then let's get to the considerations for setting up an e-commerce channel, because I think if we are wanting to think about what does this mean for us, there are multiple aspects one needs to think about. One of them is deciding your operating model, which is, would you want to own your e-commerce store, or would you want to get into a partnership with an already established online marketplace? And now again, for that, there could be a variety of pros and cons. We've just listed a few for your understanding. Some of the benefits of having one's own e-commerce store is a control over your own brand and the content, the communication. You have more visibility of your customer data. You're able to have direct promotions to your customer based on the data analysis that you're able to make the best use of. There's flexibility to that extent in giving loyalty bonus points and things like that. And then you have also better margins and retention. In terms of challenges, there's a higher upfront maintenance cost because you're going to set up your own site. You need to build capacity and budgets for SEO, marketing, high customer acquisition costs, and things like that. And so from using an established marketplace, it's just the reverse. The benefit is you have a low upfront maintenance cost, you have a high traffic because people are already going on a Flipkart or a Big Basket or any of the others. And if you position your brand well through offline stores and then get into the online, they will already have visibility of your brand and potentially look for it upfront. You can optimize the search, and they themselves have used a lot of that technology to their advantage, and you can piggyback on that. Then there are additional channels of sales that can have their own stores within, and the marketplace manages the delivery and payment. So you don't have to worry about the logistics of that. But the challenges are, again, they're on an online marketplace, there are multiple brands. So how do you differentiate your brand? It will obviously come from quality, but it'll be amongst the many lists of products. And there's a low visibility of customer data. So if you're looking for targeted customer marketing, it's going to be a relatively difficult proposition compared to having your own e-commerce store. And there's a higher margin outflow to that extent. Now, if we look at product assortment, very important to have the key value of items available for consumers, because if the consumer doesn't find what he's looking for on the e-commerce platform, they're going to go to another platform, or they're going to go to a store or the Kirana store or the modern retail. It's important to also formulate your pricing strategy correctly. For that, one will have to be staying abreast of what are the competitors doing and what are the prices available in offline, what are the discounts you want to offer in online, and so on. It's good to sometimes start with your own region and get a good reach of the customers, and then gain and expand the geographies to other regions as you build your brand. And again, important to have differentiators. We've seen some companies do that quite skillfully in either terming their products with organic or natural, unpolished providing the nutritional value, working towards pricing, differentiated pricing, and value-added products. Another aspect that one can consider is, the innovation to tackle supply chain, delivery, payments, and credit issues. Again, the pandemic was a phenomenal learning experience for everyone, and it really brought out a lot of innovation in the way the Kiranas and the FMCG companies handled all the challenges that they were faced with all of a sudden. So if I was to share with you a couple of instances where, the FMCG companies adopted different strategies for payments and supply chain and delivery, let's look at, in terms of they used delivery platforms like Curefit to ensure that the customers' needs were met and eliminated the loss of sales. So this was the active pursuit of reaching the customer directly. Another one which was very interesting was, when we put that case study, was more on Mondelez and how they reached out to potential residential communities and societies as aggregated blocks of customers, and utilized apps like Near Store, Apna Complex, and No Broker to reach out and get the orders and then ensure delivery. Similarly, one can look at partnering with the B2B delivery aggregators. And again, we've named a few like Delivery and Shadowfax, which deliver from factories to depots and distributors. So that could be another interesting option. We've also seen multiple level tie-ups that have taken place, and there can be partnerships with Zoom cars for their fleet to ensure the seamless delivery to distributors and so on. So variety of innovative means of supply chain management, delivery, payment issues. So I think all the mobile payment apps were very active during that period. If you look at how Kiranas handled the pandemic, and again, very interesting to see how they dealt with their customers during a phase of lockdown. They actually started taking orders on WhatsApp and payments through various digital payment platforms to ensure that they could still stay in connect with the customer and meet their demands and needs. Equally, on the operating model side, they tied up with online platforms like Jumbotail, Udaan, Big Bazaar, B2B to get a steady supply of products, and assistance in deliveries. So again, a lot of innovation in the manner of which everyone can think of redesigning business models in an omni-channel, way of business. What's very interesting when you work in an e-commerce space is the amount of data that comes your way. And for growing your online presence, that data becomes exceedingly valuable. And when I talk about data, it also I'm talking about, the trends that you can determine from that in terms of the demographic segment, because they give you a lot of that insight. You get to know whether you're having first-time buyers versus repeat buyers, what are their preferences, what were their impressions, the conversions, your share in the categories, the customer feedback and the review comments which you get immediately, the payment modes. And there are so many different ways of payments. You can have cash on delivery and so on. So what that does is it gives the customer a lot of flexibility, and in turn, you're able to also build that rapport with the customer, and the delivery reach pin codes are provided. So again, it gives you a chance to expand in the underserved pin codes jointly with marketplaces. So, and these are just a few which I've mentioned, but there's a lot more data that comes your way, which can give you a lot of insights. And that can help you in really designing your pricing, your discount policies, when the stock, or how to deal with customers accordingly. So I think these are a few of our thoughts around e-commerce, but it's very clear that in the long run, this is going to become an important means of supporting your customers, and the fastest players will have a much better chance at exceeding market share under this model. So I hope this has given you a good flavor of a future trend and how you can capitalize on that.
Thank you so very much, Ashish. I think, again, like I said in one of the sessions yesterday, this is a lot of food for thought, and will take some time for people to digest and probably come back with questions. because right now we don't have any. So, but I did have one question. Yes, people have adapted to newer ways of functioning given the whole COVID scenario, and people. It was more like a necessity is the mother of invention for a lot of retailers, especially the mom and pop stores and the groceries stores. How do you see this growing, and what kind of growth rate pattern do you anticipate going forward, say in the next 3 to 4, 5 years? Do you think uh, the whole idea of now shopping online or through apps is going to be like the next wave of doing business, especially when you look at the smaller retail stores?
Yeah, that's a great question. So thanks for that, Pradeep. Yes, indeed. As for various factors that we already mentioned in my initial part of the presentation, with the growing millennial population, with a very young India, with a high technology and infrastructure available of internet, we've seen this happen on more than one occasion, right? During demonetization, you saw a lot of people move on to electronic platforms, and e-wallet payments suddenly surfaced in a big way. And then you had COVID, which
Mhm.
again, being in a lockdown scenario, compelled people to start evaluating alternate means of shopping. And I think because this time was a much longer tenure of close to 7, 8 months, it kind of habituated people and into getting into a comfort zone of being able to shop online, get the products of their choice, and at times even in a very convenient and manner with a good discount as well. So it has actually accelerated the pace of consumers looking at e-commerce as a means of shopping now from a long-term standpoint. And as we've all seen, most of corporate India saying, it's not going to be a situation of people getting back to work in the good old way again. So more and more people are getting comfortable of work from home, shop from home, and the e-commerce platforms, the existing ones, really have got a lot of options available. So that is making it a more delightful experience for the consumers going forward. And that's where you're seeing more and more of these studies and analysis saying that it's likely that, with the internet penetration increasing, certainly the e-commerce, which is currently at a certain level, is going to more than double on that one. So we anticipate that by 2026, the number of online shoppers in India are projected to increase from the current 15% to 50% of the total online population. So just imagine if from 15 to 50 by 2026, even
Mhm.
if we discount that a bit, that's a reasonably large number of shoppers. And with them getting more and more excited with the cashbacks and the festive offers, it's also leading to saving of time of travel. And as long as you have the brands which are giving you that assured quality of product that is now being expected, then people are very happy to shop. So I think certainly an area where the retailers need to think more in, and not saying that we discontinue our existing business, but it's just another channel of doing business which you wouldn't want to miss on those consumers.
Great. There's one question that's come up, and I'd add a little to it from my side also. The question says, what is your opinion on mergers and acquisitions in the sector? And my two bit to that is, do you also see some kind of consolidation, or even if I may say at the grocery level, some like, aggressive buyouts and takeovers, or people joining forces and making their smaller stores into bigger stores? See, where shoppers are concerned, yes, the numbers will keep increasing, but how is it going to affect the sellers?
Yeah, no, that's a great question again. So if we see the modern retail trade, we are already seeing a lot of mergers that are in consolidation that's taking place. You saw Godrej Basket, Nature's Basket becoming a part of Spencer Retail, right? A year or so back. And now there's a discussion of Big Bazaar, with Reliance. So there is going to be an element of consolidation. And to that extent, in a way, that's great for the consumer, because with larger chains, they can have the wherewithal of dealing with a lot number of FMCG players and getting a reasonably good volume discount and passing that down to the consumer. So it has its pluses and minuses, but as long as there are more stores coming up, that's helping consumers in having a much more differentiated way of shopping in the modern retail stores compared to your kiranas, right? And then you take it to the next level, which is e-commerce, because earlier with the modern retail, you still had to go somewhere, you had to drive down, you had to shop, you had to get your products and bring it home. With the online stores, they are offering you that entire experience at a click of a few buttons on your laptop or on your mobile phone. And with that, you're getting to, and it's not like going to one modern retail store. You can actually flip multiple pages and seeing what's Big Basket offering me, what versus what's Flipkart offering me, what is XYZ offering me, and where am I getting my best discounts, and which are the best attractors that are there, and the differentiators, as I was talking about, right? So time delivery, or goods return, or loyalty points and things like that. So all that is going to definitely add to it. But the point on whether there will be consolidation of these online portals, I think there's already some discussion that is in the news on one of them. Let's see how soon that fructifies. And certainly, I think these are becoming very attractive, marketplaces. And some of the larger corporations with deeper pockets will be looking at these to augment their sales besides their physical stores. So I think we will see more of that as time goes by, but equally we'll see new players coming in. Because of the startups and others coming in, there are enough people with innovative mindsets who are going to keep trying new ways of reaching out to consumers.
But now speaking from a common man perspective, okay, as a person who uses these services or whose family uses, or I've heard conversations happening like during COVID time, while there was a X price available at a DMart or a Big Basket or somebody else, because there were these big aggregators, so had big cost advantages, whereas your standalone retail stores, grocery stores, kirana shops were selling at a little higher price. Now, with this whole scenario changing, do you think it will also force the hand of the grocery stores to now cut down those markup levels and come into same platform as your DMarts just to survive?
So the kiranas, they have also, as we saw in the earlier slide, they've realized that it's not business as usual anymore. They are going to have to change. They still work with the MRP price or the higher prices, as you rightly say, because they thought they had that, monopoly, so to speak, for a long time. And even with the modern retail, because the modern retail constitutes such a small percentage of the overall sales, more so because in various parts of the country, they're still not present. So they're only present in certain locations today. To that extent, the local kiranas are here to stay. They will have their loyal customer base because they also offer their own advantages, right? They also at times deliver to one's house and so on and so forth. So to that extent, they do have their own beliefs of what they bring to the table in terms of value to the consumer. But as we saw, they are now realizing that there are some advantages of changing the way they do their business, whether it was, the way they collect the orders, whether they collect the payment from consumers. There is a digital angle now to all of that. And I'm not so sure about them starting to offer discounts, but to stay competitive, there may come a time where they may have to consider being at least a bit more competitive than where they are today. But I think that's still in a distant future because, at this stage still, we saw that online is only about 0.5% of sales, right? So we have a long way to still go, but it's going to increase. And it's like how we saw some of the other trends, right? If you aren't there at the start of it, you could get left out at the end, and businesses are changing dramatically fast. So it's for us, as you rightly said, to think and contemplate whether we want to embark on this journey and embrace it before you're too late and others have taken over ahead of you.
Great. So that sounds like happy days are ahead for the consumer at least.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Ashish, for this wonderful presentation and insights. And if there are more questions that come into us on mails, we will forward them to you for your inputs.